Good morning dears, welcome to the program Toppers NEET Olympiad Foundation course. Hope you all are doing good. So let us welcome to the concept class 9th and last questions. So previous contest questions of lesson reproduction in flowering plants. So in the previous sessions we have discussed up till question number 81 and in this session we are going to discuss from question number 82. Let us see the first question, nothing but the 82nd question. A typical angiosperm embryo sac at maturity. After maturity, a typical embryo sac condition contains how many cells and how many nuclei he is asking. So before going to the options, first let us see the picture which is given over here. So this is the embryo sac, mature embryo sac which can be seen in the angiosperms. Right. So here we can observe in the anterior end 3 antipodals with the 3 nuclei, and in the middle region we can observe the central cell which we can observe the polar nuclei, 2 polar nuclei in the central cell, and coming to the basal posterior region we can observe 1 egg cell contains 1 nucleus and 2 synergids contains 2 nuclei. Okay. So cells count is 7 and here in the option A he has given 7 nucleated and 7 celled cells. Is this the option correct one? No, it's a wrong option. And coming to option B, according to the picture, 8 nucleate. Yes, and cells are 8 itself. Is this the correct statement? No, it's a wrong one. Coming to option C, 8 nucleate and 7 celled. Okay, so here we have discussed it that nuclei are 8 in count and cells are 7 in count. So option C will be the correct one. And coming to option D, 7 nucleated and 8 celled. Okay, so 7 nuclei not. Those are the 8 nucleated which is given in option C already. So which is reversed in option D. So this will be the wrong option. Hope you all understood dears. Right. Coming to the next question. The plant parts which consists of 2 generations. The plant part which consists of 2 generations, one within the other. Okay. So the 2 generations which are present in one of the plant organisms. The flower contains the reproductive organs. The male one is the androecium and the female one is the gynoecium. So within the male androecium and gynoecium, so where we can observe the next generation parts, right? So the statements are given over here. This is analytical approach type of question. So within this the given statements, which one among these statements will be correct? Let us see. What is the first statement? Pollen grains inside the anther. Pollen grains. What are the pollen grains? These are the male gametes. These are the male gametes. Okay. So let us see, this might be correct. And coming to option 2, nothing but second statement, germinated pollen grain with 2 male gametes. Germinated pollen grain with 2 male gametes. Where we can observe this situation of germinated pollen grain, nothing but, so when the pollen grain reaches the stigma, the ripened stigma which makes the pollen grain to germinate into a pollen tube, so that we can observe inside the pollen tube the cells will be present. Okay, so what are those cells? One is the vegetative cell and one more is the generative cell. The generative cell will be dividing mitotically and forms 2 nuclei. Those are called as a sperm nuclei which are formed by the generative cell. And coming to second one, the next nucleus is formed by the generative cell. Vegetative cell. Formed by the vegetative cell. Okay. So here the pollen grain is germinating into a tube. Right. So germinated pollen grain with 2 male gametes. So is this the correct generation, next generation which is stored inside the pollen grain, so which is ready to penetrate into the female one. Okay, so he is just asking what are the organs which are present in the, what are the cells, the next generation cells which are present in the plant. Okay, so option 3, third one, seed inside the fruit. What is seed inside the fruit? It's a resultant one. After fertilization process, double fertilization, so we can observe the fruit will be forming from the ovary and the seed will be developed from the unfertilized ovules. Okay, so these two statements are wrong. Second and third statements are wrong. And coming to fourth statement, embryo sac inside the ovule. Okay, so what is ovule? It's a female gamete. Inside the female gamete we can observe the embryo sac, right? So the pollen grain is a male gamete, the embryo sac inside the ovule. Ovule is the female gamete. Okay, so these two are the correct options. And let us see what is given, in which one they have given 1 and 4 options. 1, 2, 3. Option A is wrong. 3 and 4. Option B is wrong. 1 and 4. Yes, that is what we have discussed up till now. Statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is correct. Okay, so why? Because the next generation gametes are ready to produce the next generation process. Okay, so that is why the fertilization process, so they are storing in them. Okay, so the embryo sac, they contain the megaspore mother cell and the pollen grain, they contain the microspore mother cell. So in further division by the meiosis and mitosis, so they will be developing the next generation process. Next generation, how do they undergo? By the pollination and a fertilization process. Okay, option C will be the correct one and option D only one it seems. The fourth one will be the correct one. So 1 and 4, option C is the correct option, right? Coming to the next question, dears. The body of the ovule is fused within the funicle at. The body of the ovule is fused. What is the body of the ovule? Coming to the picture here, this is the body of the ovule. Okay, so this is fused within the funicle. Where we can observe the funicle? The stalk-like structure which is attached towards to the body of the ovule. Okay, so these both are adjoined at which particular region he is asking. Okay, let us see the micropyle. Option B nucellus, option C chalaza and option D is the hilum. And if we observe this structure, the funicle, okay, this is the funicle structure which is exactly attaching towards to the body of a ovule is hilum. Is the hilum. Okay, so which one is the correct option here? It's a option D, right? And coming to the option C, chalaza. So is the chalaza connecting both ovule body and the funicle? Exactly no. And option B is a nucellus. The surrounding part of a embryo sac on the anterior region is a nucellus. Is that connecting both the body of a ovule and the funicle? Exactly no. And coming to option A, where is the micropyle? Exactly the entry point of the ovule reaching towards to the embryo sac. Okay, so there is no connection between micropyle and the funicle. Only the hilum gives the connection between body of ovule and the funicle. Okay, so option D will be the correct one. Right, coming to the next question. In some plants, the thalamus contributes to fruit formation. Such fruits are termed as. Okay, so in some plants, the thalamus it seems. Where we can observe the thalamus? Thalamus is the cup-like structure where we can observe outside the ovary. Think for example, this is the flower. And this is the sepal. Yes, so in this we can observe the ovary. Okay, the outside structure which is covering the ovary is called as a thalamus. In some of the plants, the flower, the cup-like structure at the basal region, the thalamus will be contributing to fruit formation. So what are those fruits called as? Are they the false fruits? Are they the aggregate fruits? Are they the true fruits? Or they are the parthenocarpic fruits? So let us see the picture over here. This is the mango fruit. Okay, the mango fruit, fleshy fruit will be formed by the development of ovary. Okay, so the fruit will be developing from the ovary. That fruit is considered as a true fruit. Okay, so which is not developed. So example here the apple. Okay, so if we see the apple fruit, the apple fleshy part will be developed from the thalamus. Fleshy thalamus. Okay, so that is the reason the apple is one of the example of a false fruit. Okay, so option A will be the correct one, and option B, what is aggregate fruits? Aggregate fruit in the sense a type of fruit which is developing from the multiple carpels. Okay, so in some of the fruits we can observe bunch of fruits, like for example grapes we can take, right? So in that condition we can observe the multiple carpels will be developing as a fruits. So those are called as a aggregate fruits, not the aggregate fruit. And here the true fruits, as I just told now. So that is nothing but development of a fruit from the ovary. So apple is not developing from the ovary. The fleshy region of a apple is developing from the thalamus. So option C is also the wrong one. And parthenocarpic fruit in the sense, so there we can observe the unfertilized egg will be formed, unfertilized seeds will be formed. Okay, the fruit will be formed without the seeds. Okay, it's not a parthenocarpic fruit. What is the correct option? The thalamus will be helpful for development of a fruit is called as a false fruit. Hope you all understood, dears. Like, coming to the next question, persistent nucellus in the seed is known as. What is persistent nucellus? The nucellus, especially during the developmental condition, it produces the nourishment. Nourishment in the sense nutrients which are required for the formation of zygote, embryo sac and the endosperm. Okay, so there we can observe here it is converting into perisperm. The persistent nucellus will be converting into the perisperm. That is what the question is asked over here. The persistent nucellus in the seed, what is that called as? It is also known as a perisperm, not the tegmen, not the chalaza and not the hilum. Okay, chalaza and hilum are the parts of a ovule. And what is tegmen? It's not given in this. Okay, so let us leave it. So what is the correct option? It is the persistent nucellus in the black pepper seed. It will be converting into a perisperm. Okay, option C will be the correct one. Next, 87th question. What is the 87th question? Which one of the following statements regarding the post-fertilization? Statements we need to consider regarding the post-fertilization. Post-fertilization in the sense after fertilization process, what will be the condition of which organ he is asking? Development in flowering plants is incorrect. Okay, so he has given here the 4 statements. Out of 4 statements, so after fertilization process, what develops into what he is asking here. Okay, so we need to consider which is the incorrect statement. Consider which is the incorrect statement. Let us see what is the first statement. Ovules develop into embryo sac. Ovules develop into embryo sac it seems. Okay, so second option is ovary develops into fruit. Ovary develops into fruit. Okay, so ovules are developing into embryo sac. What is embryo sac here? Embryo sac is a female gametophyte. So there we can observe the fertilization process, a double fertilization. So option A is the wrong statement. And coming to the next statement, option B, ovary develops into fruit. Yes, after fertilization process, the ovary will be developing into fruit. That is what we have discussed in the previous question. true fruit and the false fruit. What is a true fruit? Fruit which develops from the ovary is called as a true fruit. Okay, so that is what given over here in the option B. And coming to option C, the statement is given, zygote develops into embryo. When do we get the zygote? After the first fertilization. Okay, so the first sperm cell fuses with the egg cell and forms the zygote. So after, the zygote will be forming as a, developing as a embryo. Embryo in the sense, by the mitotic cell division we can observe the multiple cells will be formed, and this embryo will be nourished by the nucellus in the ovule. Okay, and this statement is also correct. And coming to option D, the central cell develops into endosperm. It's not M dears, it's a N, printing mistake. So central cell develops into endosperm. Yes, what is central cell? Which contains two polar nuclei. So within the central cell, the second sperm cell will be reaching and fusing with the polar nuclei, and there we can observe the three nuclei. Triple fusion also we can say. Okay, so there it is developing as a endosperm. This is also the correct statement. So which is the incorrect statement? It's a ovules develop into a embryo sac. So now let us come into the picture which is given. So here the fruit ripens, the flower parts fall away after fertilization. What is given in the question? The post fertilization. After post fertilization, what happens, he is asking. That is what the figure is indicating over here. After the formation of fruit, the floral parts will be fallen. Okay, so next to that, fruit develops from the ovary. That is what given in option B. And next one, if we just cut open the fruit, we can observe inside the seeds. Okay, so what are the seeds? Unfertilized ovules will be developing into seeds inside the fruit. And next one is embryo develops. Okay, so what are embryo development? So previous to the seed development, we can observe the embryo development. Inside the embryo sac, we can observe the division process of mitosis. By the zygote, it converts into embryo, and by the nucellus and the integuments and the chalazal region, the seed coat will be formed, seeds will be formed, and the fleshy fruit will be formed. Okay, so the flowering just after the fertilization, the zygote. After the zygote, inside to that we can also observe the formation of a endosperm. Okay, so here the incorrect statement is option A. Next, which is the most common type of embryo sac in angiosperms? Okay, so what condition? What is the condition of the embryo sac in a angiospermic embryo sac? So is that a tetrasporic with one mitotic stage of divisions, or monosporic with three sequential mitotic divisions, or monosporic with two sequential mitotic divisions, or bisporic with two sequential divisions? Okay, so in the female we can observe the mitotic cell division, which is followed by the meiosis. Okay, so let us see here, tetrasporic. No, the megaspore mother cell will be forming only single megaspore. Okay, so it's not a correct option. Tetraspore with one mitotic cell division, not exactly. So before going to this, let us conclude the statement in the figure. Okay, so here the monosporic polygonum, embryo sac. So first will be dividing meiotically and form the megaspore. Megaspore mother cell will be dividing meiotically and forms the megaspore, single megaspore. So that will be dividing first of all, and then we can observe the two nuclei will be formed, one nucleus and the second nucleus in the first mitotic cell division. And coming to the second mitotic cell division, we can observe mitotically again that single nucleus will be dividing into two nuclei in each side. Each polar region we are observing two nuclei by the second mitotic cell division, and by the third mitotic cell division we can observe four nuclei in each side. After formation of four nuclei, the polar nuclei will be adjusting in the central region. this one of the polar nuclei and this is one of the another polar nuclei will be ready to move into the central region. So after the mitosis 3 division, third mitotic cell division, we can observe the clear 3 antipodal cells with 3 nuclei, 2 polar cells with a single central nucleus and 3 cells, 3 nuclei with 1 in the egg cell and 2 nuclei in the synergids. Okay, so mitosis 1, M1, M2 and M3. Okay, so this mitotic cell divisions will be making the embryo sac to form a 8 nucleated stage and 7 cell stage embryo sac. Which one will be the correct option? The monosporic with 3 sequential mitosis divisions, mitotic cell divisions. Option B will be the correct one. And option C, let us see, monosporic. Yes, the megaspore is a single one. Mother cell produces single megaspore with 2 sequential mitotic cell divisions, it seems. No, it's a 3 sequential mitotic division. Okay, and option D is bisporic. Spores will not be the double one, only single megaspore will be. Okay, so which one will be the correct one? Only option B is the correct statement. Coming to the next question, winged pollen grains are present in which of these plants? Okay, is it present in the mustard, cycas, mango or pinus? Okay, so in the mustard we can observe a round shaped or approximately spear shaped pollen grain, and coming to cycas, exactly round shaped pollen grain, and in the mango we can observe the pollen grain also will be in a approximate spear to round shape. But coming to pinus, see the picture over here, this is the cone of a pinus and this is the male gamete, nothing but the pollen grain. Okay, so here you can see the structure which is containing the wings. So exactly like this. Okay, this is the pollen grain, this is one of the wing and this is one of the wing. Okay, the winged structure of the pollen grain can be seen in which of the following? Only in the pinus. Okay, not in the mango, not in the cycas and not in the mustards. Okay, so this, if it is in a wingy structure, what kind of pollination we can observe? The pollination will be through the wind. Okay, the wing, through the wings it can be flying and going towards to the stigma. Okay, understood? Right, coming to the next question, dears. Double fertilization. What is double fertilization? The statements are being given. Let us see. The double fertilization, the fusion of 2 male gametes of a pollen tube with 2 different eggs. Fusion of 2 male gametes of a pollen tube with 2 different egg systems. Okay, so inside the embryo sac we can observe only single egg cell. Is the statement correct? Exactly wrong. And next statement, fusion of 1 male gamete with 2 polar nuclei. 2 polar nuclei, it is done in the second process, second fertilization process. So this is also the wrong option. Here second one he is saying, but where is the first fertilization with the egg cell? So option B is also wrong. Fusion of 2 male gametes with 1 egg. 2 male sperms are fusing only with 1 egg it seems. Is that the statement correct? Exactly no. The first sperm cell will be fusing with the egg cell and forms zygote, and the second sperm cell will be reaching the central cell and fusing with the polar nuclei in it and forming the endosperm. Okay, what is the option D? Syngamy and triple fusion. So you see in the picture what is syngamy. So here we can observe the synergids are allowing with the filiform apparatus. The synergids will be allowing the pollen tube of a male gamete and allowing the first sperm cell to reach only towards to the egg cell, not going beyond to that. And there we can observe the formation of a zygote. Okay, the first fertilization, fusion of a male gamete sperm cell with a egg cell and forms a zygote is called as a syngamy. That is what given over here, right? And let us see the next one, triple fusion. What is a triple fusion? The triple fusion is nothing but the sperm cell, second sperm cell from the pollen tube reaches directly the secondary nucleus, nothing but the polar nuclei in a central cell. Okay, so after this we can observe the triple fusion. Triple fusion in the sense the two polar nuclei fusing in the sense after reaching the second sperm cell, the second sperm cell nucleus and the two polar nuclei in the egg cell, nothing but the embryo sac. So that nuclei count will be 3. The fusion of these 3 nuclei is called as a triple fusion. So what is a double fertilization? One is the syngamy process, which is done in the first fertilization, and one more fusion is the triple fusion. This is the second fertilization. So by this we can conclude, yes, in the angiosperms we can observe the double fertilization. Option D will be the correct one, right? Next, coming to next question. Functional megaspore in an angiosperm develops into an endosperm, embryo sac, embryo or the ovule. Functional megaspore. What is functional megaspore? The megaspore mother cell will be dividing into meiotic division and forming the megaspore, single monosporic megaspore. Okay, so after the monosporic megaspore forms, so that will be undergoing the mitotic cell division. Okay, so this functional megaspore, first of all it forms, the mother cell will be forming the megaspore mother cell. Megaspore mother cell will be forming single megaspore. Okay, so here the megaspore mother cell in a diploid condition, so it will be dividing into 4 cells, 4 haploid cells. So out of 4 haploid cells, so 1 will be left over and remaining 3 will be degenerating. Why do they degenerate? Those are the non-functional ones. So which is left over? That megaspore cell will be the functional megaspore. So that functional megaspore divides megaspore or a embryo sac. Embryo sac is ready to form, yet not formed in this. Okay, so here the cell will be in a smaller in size, and next we can observe the cell size increases by the mitotic cell divisions. By the nucleus which is present in this, we can observe the prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase, and we can observe by the first mitotic cell division we can observe 2 nuclei. By the second mitotic cell division we can observe 4 nuclei, and after the third mitotic cell division we can observe totally 8 nuclei with 7 cells. Okay, so this is the complete resultant one of a mature embryo sac. The functional megaspore will be forming ultimately as a embryo sac, not the endosperm, not the embryo and not the ovule. What is the endosperm? The resultant of a second fertilization. And what is the embryo? In the animals or in the plants also, the zygote will be developing by the mitotic cell division and forms the embryo. This is not the correct option, and option D is the ovule. Ovule is the female gamete. Inside the female gamete we can observe the embryo sac. This is formed by the functional megaspore. In which kind of plants? Angiosperms. In the angiosperms. Understood, dears? Very good. Coming to the next question. 91 to 94 we got skipped here because 92 and 93 are the repeated questions. So we have skipped those questions. So let us see the 94th question. Attractants and rewards are required for. What are the attractants and what are the rewards? Okay, so here in the reproduction process, if the flower are being considered, the flowers do contain the colorful petals. So especially for pollination process, which kind of pollinating agents will be attracting towards to the petals of a flower? Yes, we can observe the insects will be attracting towards to the petals of a flower. Okay, so those are the attractants. Okay, the corolla parts of a flower is a attractant, and as the insect is ready to suck the nectar. Okay, so here the flower is benefiting. In what way it is benefiting? The transfer of the pollen grains from male towards to the female. It might be the cross pollination or it might be the self pollination. So wherever the insect goes onto the surface of a flower, the tips of the insects, legs of the insects will be stuck by the pollen grains and it will reach towards to the stigma. After the stigma gets ripened, the sugary substances of the stigma, ripened stigma, will be making the pollen grain to germinate. Okay, so here the beneficiary part of a flower is done by the pollination process, and in reverse what the flower is giving, it seems it is rewarding the insects. It reward only the insects. Okay, so does it reward the nectar towards to the wind? Wind is one of the pollinating agent. Does it reward the nectar towards to the animals? Animals, there is no use of sucking the nectar. Okay, so does it gives the reward like a nectar towards to the water and other sort of animals and all? Completely not. Okay, so attractants and rewards can be seen in which kind of pollination? Entomophily. It's not the hydrophily, not beneficiary with the water. Water is not benefited through the water. Water is acting as an agent and plant is benefited over there. Flower is benefited over there for producing the next generation. And what is cleistogamy? It's a kind of pollination process, self-pollination process. And what is anemophily? Through the wind, pollination which occurs through the wind. Okay, option D is wrong, option C is wrong, option B is also wrong, and what will be the correct one? Entomophily, attracting, insects attract towards to the flowers and rewarding, flowers in reverse giving the nectar towards to the insects. Okay, so very good question this is. Next question, flowers which have single ovule in the ovary and packed into, and the not, it's a grammar mistake, and packed into inflorescence are usually pollinated by. Flowers which have only single ovule, it seems, only single ovule in the ovary and packed into inflorescence are usually pollinated by the bees, by the wind, by the bat, or by the water. So before going to this, let us see the picture here. So wind pollinated flowers often have a single ovule in each ovary. So if grains, so these are the grass plants. Okay, so in the grass plants, each and every flower contains the ovule. In each and every ovule, each and every ovary contains only the single ovule. That single ovule will be developing only into a seed. Okay, so here the ovule in the ovary and packed into the inflorescence are usually pollinated by. So these are pollinated by, okay, by the wind, not by the bees, not by the bat, and not by the water. Okay, so by the wind, numerous flowers packed in an inflorescence. So what kind of flowers are these? The grass family plant flowers are considered as a wind pollinated flowers. Okay, so what kind of ovary and ovule they have? They have only single ovary, single ovule in each ovary. Understood? Right. Coming to the next question. Dioecious flowering plant prevents both. What is dioecious flowering plant? Dioecious means two characters. Okay, so what might be the two characters? It might be autogamy and geitonogamy. It might be geitonogamy and xenogamy. It might be cleistogamy and xenogamy, and it might be autogamy and xenogamy. My dears, if you remember our previous session, one of the question is related to xenogamy. What is xenogamy? So we are observing a type of cross pollination from one flower, nothing but from the male flower of one particular plant, and the pollen grains are transferring towards to the female flower of the another type of plant, not the same species. The species will be completely different. So whatever the pollen grains are being produced over there, different pollen grains. Different pollen grains are being produced by the type of cross pollination from transferring of pollen grains from one flower of one plant, male flower of one plant to the female flower of the another plant. So that is nothing but the xenogamy, right? So here what he is asking the question, a dioecious flowering plant prevents both. So here there is at any cost there is a cross pollination. Cross pollination. Okay, and what is autogamy and gitmogamy? Autogamy in the sense self pollination. See in the picture, the pollen transfer within the flower. Within the same flower, the pollen grains from the male anther are transferring towards to the female stigma. Okay, so that is called as a self pollination. And next one is gitmogamy. What is gitmogamy? A kind of process, a self-pollination or the cross-pollination can be seen in the same plant. It might be within the same flower or it might be from one flower to another flower. Okay. So, dioecious flowering plant prevents both the self-pollination. Okay. Next, option B, C, D are wrong ones. Okay. Next, coming to the next question, double fertilization is exhibited by. Double fertilization is exhibited by the algae. Fertilization is no chance in the algae because they are non-flowering plants. They are the microorganisms. And coming to fungi, they do come under the kingdom Plantae, but they are not. They don't produce any flowers. Coming to angiosperms. Yes, angiosperms are the phanerogams. So, the double fertilization can be seen in the angiosperms. But coming to gymnosperms, are they the flowering plants or not? Okay. Apart from male and female reproductive organs, there are no attractants for these. Nothing but the corolla and sepals will be completely absent. And directly the male gametes will be reaching towards to the female gametes without any agents, only through the water. Where they are being present, the male gametes will be reaching the female ones, and we can observe the direct fertilization process in the gymnosperms. Okay, so here there is no double fertilization. So there we can observe the porogamy process. What is that process called as? Porogamy process. That is what given in the picture also. See here in the angiosperms, a double fertilization can be seen, and in the gymnosperms we can observe the porogamy. Porogamy in the sense direct pollen grain, pollen tube will be reaching towards to the micropylar region for the fertilization process. Okay, so this process is called as a porogamy. This porogamy can be seen only in the gymnosperms. Okay, so see here the embryo is in a 2n number condition, nothing but diploid in condition. Okay, so new sporophyte will be formed. So this new sporophyte which is diploid in condition, and surrounding to this we can observe the food supply, female gametophytic cell or a tissue which contains only haploid nucleus. Okay, and a seed coat derived from the integument which is present. Okay, so comparing with the angiosperms, the process occurs, fertilization occurs, but not the double fertilization. Here it's a porogamous type of fertilization can be seen. Okay, so option C will be the correct one. Next, 98th question, pollination in water hyacinth and water lily. Water hyacinth and water lily is brought about by the agents of. What are all those agents? Let us see. Only by the water. Yes, it might be in the water lily or in the water hyacinth. Then what about the insects or wind? Insects do pollinate in the water lily. Okay, so insects are the entomophily type of pollination can be seen in the water lily. And coming to water hyacinth, the wind is acting as the agent for the pollination process, not by the birds and not by the bats, and even not by the single water. Water is given. It might be in water lily, but insects plays a very major role, and wind plays a very major role in water lily and the wind is acting as a pollinating agent in the water hyacinth. That is what given in the pictures. Yes, this is the water lily. Through the insects they will be pollinating, and this is the water hyacinth. Through the wind the pollination will be done, right? Coming to the next question, dears. Despite high level of heterozygosity, what is heterozygosity? The word itself indicates hetero means different, zygosity, zygotes. Okay, the progeny derived from the seed of a cross-pollinated plant was found to be completely uniform. In a sense, so whatever the parent contains, the next generation is also following the same type of cell division, same type of formation, same type of fruit formation can be seen in the next generation itself. So what is that process called as? Is that the parthenocarpy? In the parthenocarpy, sexual one will be converting into asexual. Into asexual reproduction. Nothing but unfertilized egg will be converting as a fruit without formation of any seeds. So this is the wrong option. And what is apomixis? Let us see in the picture here. What is apomixis? So here we can observe. So what kind of cell? Megaspore, epospory, diplospory and haplospory, parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis we should not consider. Epospory, apomixis, diplospory and epospory. So here we can observe the formation of the complete embryo sac, and after fertilization also we can observe the cells which are present inside the male and the female gametes, the process which is undergoing by the fertilization process inside the male and female gametes and producing the next progeny, and again they will be growing and undergoing the same process, pollination process, fertilization process, development of development of zygote and embryo and development of endosperm. So what are all the structures are present in the embryo sac or in the ovule? So same kind of process can be seen in the next further generations also. So that is nothing but the apomixis. Okay, it's not the induced mutation. Induced mutation is the artificial process for getting the mutation, nothing but changing in the characters. Okay, so the desirable characters will be selected in this induced mutation process. And what is polyploidy? Polyploidy condition might be the number of chromosomes may differ, number of nuclei may differ. Okay, so it will be occurring in every process. Okay, so it might be different or it might be same. It can be changed by the induction process or through the tissue culturing process. Okay, so what is the correct option here? Apomixis will be the correct option. Right? Hope you all understood, dears. Coming to the last question but not the least question. The ovule of an angiosperm is technically equivalent to. The ovule of an angiosperm is technically equivalent to. Is that the megasporangium? Is that the megasporophyll? Is that the megaspore mother cell, or it is a megaspore? Okay. So here if we consider during the formation of the embryo sac, so first we can observe the archisporial cell. Archisporial cell, so this is responsible for the meiotic cell division and form the primary sporogenous cells. So by the primary sporogenous cells which are formed by the meiotic cell division ultimately form the parietal layers, and then we can observe the megaspore mother cell forms. So everything in this condition will be formed only by the meiotic cell division. Okay, and next we can observe the megaspores. Okay, so the megaspore, after that it will be degenerating into a formation of four cells. Remaining 3 cells will be degenerating, only one megaspore mother cell. Megaspore will be present over there, so that is responsible for undergoing the mitotic cell division and then forms the embryo sac. So what is that condition here? It's a megasporangium, not the sporophyll, not the megaspore mother cell. It might be the megaspore mother cell, but it is not equivalent to the ovule. Okay, so inside the ovule the embryo sac has to form. Okay, so if it is in a condition of megaspore mother cell, so then what about the megaspore? Then what about the mitotic cell division? And then what about the embryo sac formation? Okay, the megaspore mother cell has to form the megaspore. Okay, so the megaspore is been dividing into mitotic cell division and forms the embryo sac. So that can be seen only in the megasporangium. The division is called as a megasporogenesis. Okay, so option A will be the correct one. Yes. Thank you so much, dears. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and if any mistakes are there, you just find it out, and we'll be correcting all those. So hope you all enjoyed the video, and let's meet in the next session. Thank you so much.